When you discovered the law of attraction, you started to believe anything was possible. Life got better, much better. Now you want more, but it's not working. That's where the Manifest It Now show comes in. If you've been waiting for someone who can teach you the practical application to manifest quicker and easier while having more, turn the volume up, because the dynamic duo, Cassie Parks and Ginny Gane, are ready to teach you how to live the law of attraction like they do. It's time to laugh and learn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Manifest It Now. I'm here with Cassie Parks.
And I'm here with Ginny Gane.
And this week, we get to talk about one of the most important parts of manifesting, and that is trust.
Yes, this is a very big topic. And as we're going to dive into it, it's something that there's not just there's no magic answer for any of it, but it's a little bit, it's something that builds up over time.
And you're going to see how and maybe why we've been structuring these episodes this season in the way we have, because it all kind of comes into how trust is built, and we're going to get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, I think it is perfect that this is this is LOA, the Manifest It Now way. And so manifest, this is the T in trust.
In manifest.
Yeah. In manifest. Thank you. I'm like, that's not right.
Which is perfect at the end of manifest.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So Jenny, what are you excited about other than talking about trust?
I'm excited about all the clients and students I'm working with, and just the energy in the couple programs that are underway has been super powerful. It's clear. There's just, the best way for me to describe it is like energy. It's just like we are on fire. There's like, it's like opening and just really magnetic energy, powerful energy within these two different groups. And so very, very excited about that.
Yay.
Yeah. What are you excited about?
I'm very excited about just all the things that are happening with my clients. Just so much growth and manifesting and leaning into trust even more, which is amazing, because it always just yields more results. So I'm excited about how that's working in their world, and that we get to teach people about that today.
Yeah. We love celebrating you guys.
Yes.
We do it even when we're not on the podcast. Okay, so let's talk about what people normally think trust means in manifesting.
Yeah. I think they think it means this blind faith.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just supposed to trust.
I'm supposed to trust.
I'm supposed to trust.
Yeah. Like, don't actually.
Right. But it's something I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's not that, we don't quite know yet the bridge or how that happens. It's just something you're supposed to be doing, but you don't actually feel it. So it feels really out of control and feels like almost like this blind faith, and that you have to, like, trusting means almost in some way doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The quote that comes up to me that is super popular in the self-development world, which I don't agree with, or I don't live by, is leap and the net will appear.
Right.
Like, I think that's what people think trust is. Right. Oh, I'm just supposed to leap. I have no idea how it's going to work. I might not even believe it's going to work, but I should just jump, because then somehow it's magically going to take care of itself. Right.
There is a very different experience available for you in manifesting that does not have to feel like that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there are times that there's something like that we get to kind of step into, but it's not the same as leaping with no knowing, with no real trust.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't fake it.
You can't.
Yeah.
And I think that's, now I kind of want to find, I think that's someone's book or something, but that quote just gets used. And I'm a little inspired right now to go find it, because I'm wondering if when you actually study that quote, it means what we're about to say, which is like build it up and then leap. Yeah. Right? Like, because I
knowing
can see,
there's a net there.
Yeah. I mean, even in the story that I'm going to tell, I can see how I did leap and the net appeared.
Yes.
But I couldn't do that in the beginning.
Yes. There's definitely leaping involved in our process. So how do you think that kind of people normally do get this wrong?
They don't let go because they're still like trying to fix it or figure it out because of what we just talked about. That leap and hope the net appears doesn't feel good. It's scary. There's nothing to back up that the net will show up.
Yeah.
Right? And so they don't let go and they continue to try and fix it and figure it out so that they don't have to leap without a net.
Yeah. Do you think you can let go if you're still trying to figure it out?
No.
Me neither.
No. We should say we should go into that a little more.
Okay. Go.
That's fair. I'm the one who said it. Let's see. Like, if you're trying to figure it out at all, you haven't fully let go.
Yeah. I think like when we're talking about letting go, it's like you're opening that space to either be inspired or hear the clarity or hear the solution. But those are literally different frequencies than each other. So when you're in one, when you're in the figuring out and in the how, you're not in the place of receiving the answer or solution or the next leap that might be.
Yes.
Yeah, so you get to be in one of those, and that's always a good sign. Like if you're still in the how, okay, that means I'm not trusting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so how do you think this impacts, manifesting success? Trust.
I think people force themselves to believe, which is that equivalent. Like we've said it multiple times, but I think this paints a really clear picture. They force themselves, so they leap. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, then they hit the ground. It doesn't feel good, right?
Yeah.
Because I was supposed to trust, so I did something.
Mm-hmm. And made an investment.
Right? Usually made an investment, right?
Yeah.
This goes back to that making choices in the beginning. I think a lot of people think, I'm going to make an investment and I'm supposed to trust
yeah.
and it's all going to work out, instead of coming from this place of inspiration. Mm-hmm. Even trust impacts how inspiration can show up, because we have to trust enough to let it show up.
Yeah. And we're going to tie this too a little bit into why it's so important to start small, like we talked about last week. But I really want to mention here how when we're talking about trust, it's not something you just have, right? So a lot of the times, or it's not something you just get to decide, really. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times we're talking about, you can decide to make a conscious choice. You can decide to choose. You can decide these things. But trust is something that you have to allow to build. Like you can trust it. You have to make small decisions to start with trust and let it get bigger and bigger and let it get more and more. You can't just all of a sudden make the leap from, I can trust if I spend this $1 million, it will have it. Like that's too much of a jump.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's your definition of trust?
So I this one was tricky for me because as we were talking about it, but when I just asked my intuition what it means to trust, it means to feel a connection to your true self. So for me, it's not something that happens in your head. It's not like a mental experience. It's like a inner experience. It's like a feeling you have, a sense you have, an experience of peace or safety or security about whatever. And so that happens inside you, whatever the subject is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What would you say? How would you define it?
A faith that is built up over time. And by time, I mean small increments of time.
Yeah.
And it comes from living, acknowledging along the path, this worked out. I got this thing I wanted. This was better than I wanted. This was easy. It comes from acknowledging and then taking chances and letting go.
Yeah. I love really when we talk about trust, I think one of the things that has been so powerful for me is my trust in myself. Mm-hmm. It's nothing specific. It's not even who I'm being. It's just knowing I'm a good person. To put it very simply, I trust that myself to kind of get through everything or anything that comes up. And I think that at the beginning of my manifesting was really important because it wasn't based on me doing anything or getting anything or achieving anything. I could access that kind of feeling inside myself anywhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's when we trust us, that's going to get reflected back.
Yeah.
Like that trust, that certainty, right?
Yes.
When we trust, we're going to get reflected back certainty because we're trusting that.
Yeah. And I liked what you said about when you're acknowledging all the things that are working out for you, all the things you do trust. That's like, where attention goes, energy flows. So that is like one of the best ways for us to start increasing this momentum or building our trust, strengthening this muscle, is by acknowledging what is already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you haven't been trusting, you're not going to magically trust today.
Yeah. I think that's like one of the most important things that this is a process, and let this be a process. And we were actually both even saying trust really doesn't even necessarily come in at the beginning, because we're just like exploring, and we're saying like, okay, just do this and then have the experience, and then do this and have the experience. And we don't really necessarily need trust until we're kind of into the bigger places.
If we're starting small, we don't need trust.
If we're starting small. Yeah. And so if you have been kind of following along each week with what we've been doing, you have been, as a byproduct, building your trust muscle. And so that when you get ready when you'll need it, it's already got some momentum. It's already got some strength there. And we've never told you, go trust something, Right. We've been very intentional. Make this choice, set this intention,
Pay attention to this.
Yeah, have this awareness. And so through all of those exercises, you're building this connection, you're building your faith, you're building your connection to yourself in the both of the ways we defined it. And so you're already starting. Like once you need it, you're going to be ready for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a story, Cass, about trusting money?
So years ago, I invested a lot of money to go to this conference. So I had put it on credit cards. I think even at the time, like I had to apply for a different card. I put part of it on my sister's. Like, I don't know if I was moving something around, but I know there wasn't enough space or something. And so she let me some space for like a month on hers. And then I, of course, paid it back, took it over, whatever. But so I'd basically overextended to get to this thing. Right? And not really making that conscious choice. That was a chasing choice. Like,
right.
If you've read my money story, that was part of being a money chaser. But at this conference, it was so great. And Lisa Nichols was there. And I had just written my first blue book. We've talked about it, the vintage Cassie Parks book. I had written that book and I really wanted to get that out to the masses, right? And so that's really when I'm at this conference, what I'm talking about and looking for and all of that. And so this is actually pretty close to when The Secret came out, I think.
Oh, cool.
Because, but it was right when Lisa Nichols' book deal, she had just gotten her big book deal and her book was published. And so anyway, she was speaking and then she made an offer. And I was like, oh.
I need it.
Yeah, it wasn't that I need it.
Okay.
It was like, I'm supposed to.
Right.
It was probably the first time I really felt inspiration, that guide, that whisper. Like, this is what you're supposed to invest in versus what you want to invest in.
Huh.
Doesn't mean I didn't want it, but this was really this pull.
Yeah.
It wasn't a want. Like, it wasn't chasing like how I got to the conference. And it was $2,000. They would break up the payments. And I couldn't not say no. And so it was like, there's enough in my checking account to make the first payment. I'll figure, in my mind, I was like, I'll figure out how the rest is going to come. I don't know.
Yes.
I literally had no idea at this point because, there's no space on anything else.
Yeah.
Literally. But I was like, I know I have to. It was this knowing. And so I trusted, right? Then I made the leap. I swiped my card. I said, yep, I commit to the 5 more payments. I'll make the one today and I commit to the 5 others.
Yeah.
And it was like, it will be okay. And I went to dinner that night and there was this family that I had been connecting with. It was a husband and wife and they had a business and their niece worked for them and she was there and she was closer to my age. And we had just been connecting and growing together. And the mom, the wife, looks at me and she's like, "Hey, you have to do Lisa's program." And I said, "I know." She goes, "Are you going to do it?" I said, "Well, yeah, I signed up. I made the first payment. I have no idea where the money's going to come from, but I did it."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'll pay for it."
Yeah. That's
and I like looked at her niece and she was like, "She's serious." And I was like, and she was like, I'll send you a check for $2,000 when we get home.
Yeah.
And she did.
That is so amazing. I got goosebumps. I mean, I know this story. Yeah. I just love it.
Yeah. And it was amazing. And there were reasons I was supposed to be there that had nothing to do with making money and everything to do with making money.
Yeah.
Like the reasons
even just having that experience.
Right. Having that, this is what it, and so just that was when the first time when I leaped, but that was because that trust had been built up. That was,
Did you even know it was trust then?
No.
Because I was going to say you didn't even use the word once, which is cool.
Yeah, I think I just knew, like, because it wasn't, I trust this will work out. Like, we don't usually say that. It was like, I knew.
Yes.
Because that's what trusting is. It's this knowing.
That's a really good clarification, is like when we are actually trusting. So when we have the capacity to trust whatever decision is in front of us, it doesn't feel like trust. It doesn't feel like we have to try. It's just like we know.
Yeah.
Even though the how's not there, the plan is not there, but you just know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say, having heard you say that, if you're saying like things like, I trust this is going to happen, I trust I can spend this money and it's going to work out, you're probably not really trusting. Yeah. You're trying to convince yourself that it'll work. You're trying to convince yourself to jump off, even though you don't know if the net is going to appear.
Yes.
And I think the reason I was able to trust and know is because I had started small. Like we talked about last episode, I had manifested that $2,000 out of nowhere.
Right.
So while I wasn't, I wasn't thinking, I'll manifest $2,000.
Or I need to manifest.
Yes, or I need to manifest. I knew I could manifest money.
Yeah.
So I knew internally I can follow this inspiration.
Yeah.
And it's going to work out.
Yeah. And I think too, with that decision, like having that awareness of like, it was something, you knew it wasn't money chasing. Mm-hmm. You knew it was a different experience than how it felt to make the decision to go to that conference, right? So there was some sort of something else pulling you to it. And I think when we acknowledge that there's something there in that decision, it's easier to trust.
Yes.
Yeah. That's that connection, almost like honoring that connection to whatever else is there in that decision. Absolutely. Those whispers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a story with trust that Cassie reminded me of. She's like, I remember you telling me this last year. And when we were doing fertility stuff, and sometimes it can get a little bit expensive. So we had to buy some spoof, as people would call it. And so there's like multiple thousands of dollars. And I was on the phone with Cass and I said, like, yeah, we just made this investment. And then I could feel myself have a, mini freak out of like, where's this money going to come from? And then I was able to step back. And when you said it earlier, it reminded me, I'm like, I know I manifest money. I'm like, I know it comes all the time and easy. So it was like, because I have been doing it for years. And so that's why I could just slip into it. So it's like, once it's built up, then you can rely on it. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to try to build trust. You just go through the process and it builds. It's not, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you just keep manifesting money, and you just keep manifesting money in smaller and then bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the trust is there when you need it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you reminded yourself of this.
Right.
And then that was very important, but
okay. And so then like within 24 hours I got back in my car after the walk, and my phone pinged of like, oh, you got a new sale, and like, oh, someone purchased this, and it was 3 in a row, and it was like covered in 24 hours.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, if I could, I love this stuff. I love how this works. Yeah.
Me too. But it's that, right? Like I remind myself, I think that is an interesting thing that even you and I didn't know until we talked about it, but it's that moment of this works.
Yeah.
like, I can do this.
Yeah.
So then you can relax into that trust.
Yes. And that's a good point too, just for a second. Like, if you are trying to trust something and you're not able to relax, it's not actually trust. Like, that's what we talked about in the way, and the way that people get it wrong. And that process is not actually how you build it.
Right.
Okay, so trying to trust isn't how you build the trust.
Yeah. Another way to say that is you can't force trust.
Yes.
You can't force yourself to trust and have it work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we want you guys to do is pull out your little journal or your worksheets or whatever you are using throughout these episodes, and we want you to write sometime that you have trusted something and it did work out. Now, if you can think about money, and that's awesome, but if you don't have anything for money, don't worry about it. Just write any experience that you have trusted and it's worked out for you.
And so if you need an example, you trust yourself all the time.
Yes.
You trust yourself, you know how to drive to work. You trust that you know the way to your kid's school.
Yeah.
You trust you can get up and get dressed in the morning. Yeah. So you are, there's already things you are trusting, and you have trust that you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just giving some more conscious attention there. And so connecting with last week's episode of starting small, like, this is how you build it. Again, we're going to come back to it, is by starting small, and then letting it build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's how you practice. You start with this smaller thing, and you just keep building bigger.
Yeah. So
in general, that's how it works.
So with the free, same example we've been using, your free gift, your $20 and your $50. So how you can take this practice is acknowledge 3 places where you already trust, and because some places where it's easy, like Cass talked about, she gave those examples. Mm-hmm. So write down in the worksheet or in your journal 3 places where you already trust.
Yeah. And then take this practice, again, set that daily alarm, and it can be the same time or a different time, and acknowledge 3 places or times you trust. You have trusted, or places that you trust every day. And they can be the same. And I suspect as you do this every day, you're going to remember more and more times that it trusts. And maybe even by day 7, you have some money examples. If you don't, that's okay. But that is a very big possibility of how this will unfold.
Yes. We can't wait to hear those. And then we want you to write your new definition of what it means for you to trust with money. When you're thinking about money, what does it mean for you to trust?
Yes. Make sure to write your definition, and then we will leave you with our powerful affirmation. I know when I trust, money flows.
Bow chicka wow. I know when I trust, money flows. And for our bonus content this week, we have some really great stories for you. So if you want some more stories and examples of how people have trusted, our clients mostly, and got what they wanted, then tune into that bonus.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys next week.
Hi, it's Cassie. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Manifest It Now. I hope you're ready to go out and be extra awesome. If you're looking for more resources, support, ways to engage with LOA, or shift your money mindset, you can go to CassieParks.com. That's CassieParks.com, and click on complimentary, like cocktails, coaching. Go to CassieParks.com and click on complimentary coaching for more in-depth into LOA, how to shift your money mindset, how to identify your money story, and even more to help you go be even more awesome. CassieParks.com, complimentary coaching.
Go be awesome! Thank you for joining us on the Manifest It Now show, where you learn how to leverage the law of attraction to manifest your dreams. Now that you're inspired, share the love and review us on iTunes. While you're there, remember to subscribe.